Hello, my name is Linda Kay, and I am going to present today on blended learning. Blended learning is a very popular topic, and I think that we will see even more of that, especially in K through 12, but also in higher education classrooms. So I want to explore this with you and go through an agenda here. So our agenda start with the definition and then the benefits, then the different types of blended learning, and then the curriculum aspects. So let's start off with the definition. What exactly is blended learning? Blended learning is a model that combines in person classroom instruction with online and virtual components to reap the benefits of both. Now, that most K through 12 schools are fully in person, but students have devices already. We're seeing a lot of this in the schools, and a lot of teachers are able to use it a lot. So, our working definition for this particular presentation is blended learning combines the flexibility of online instruction with the support of an in-person teacher. So it's really the best of both worlds, having the technology and having the flexibility of so many things that can support students wherever they are. So whether they um, students maybe have a disability and they need longer on certain parts, or maybe it's an advanced student and they want to work ahead so that they can work on something that might be more interesting. Blended learning really gives the best of both worlds. So let's talk about the benefits of blended learning. So the different benefits starts with there are four of them. And the first one is that it provides students with autonomy. Students are able to decide if they want to spend longer on something, if they want to go back and look at a lesson and get a different tutorial or something like that. It can really allow the student the opportunity for that. The second thing is that it really increases communication between teachers and students and parents. And so, especially if you're doing blended learning with a learning management system, an LMS, there's ways that teachers can push out information and get that to the student. It also allows for a teacher to set up a discussion where students can discuss things with each other, and it really is helpful to the student so that they can ask their peers, maybe even before going to the teacher. And many times we see our students, they learn well from each other, sometimes better from each other than they do from the teacher. And so that really allows that flexibility. The third thing is it improves engagement. So teachers are able to use all sorts of different devices where they can be more engaging with the students, and the students generally enjoy that sort of thing. There are all sorts of digital stickers that teachers can use for motivation, and it's just a lot of fun. The next thing is that, or the last benefit I want to talk about today is that it improves accessibility. The really cool thing is that um, in an LMS, when you're working for that blended learning, many of the features offer closed captioning if you're showing a video. There are also some features for students with visual impairments or students maybe that have dyslexia that might see the type of letters, the fonts, and the colors that make it easier for them to read. And a teacher is able to do that instantaneously and offer that to a student, whereas just in regular one-on-one, face-to-face, they would not be able to do that as well as with blended learning. So let's go on into the different types of blended learning. There are four I'm going to talk about today. One is the flex model, the second is the rotation model, third is flipped, and then the fourth is the enriched virtual. So the first one is the flex model. In this one, the teachers and students are in the physical classroom, and most of the work is done with everybody together. And so that's pretty much what we normally see with teachers and students, or we have seen in the past. What makes it a flex model is that the teacher can offer some opportunities for some online things, excuse me, that might make it easier for certain students. They might be able to differentiate a little bit more with this flex model while they're working with the students in person. The next model is the rotation model, and I'm going to talk about three different ways to do the rotation model. So, in this one, you are in the physical classroom, and the teacher does some direct instruction. So, the first way is through stations, and so one station might be the teacher doing some small group instruction. The next station might be something online, an online tutorial. The next station might be a collaboration amongst all the students. The next station might be an individual game type situation. So it really gives the teacher the flexibility to work through that based on the students in the room. The second way to do the rotation model is to use a lab. So this is not as common as it used to be because many of our schools have devices per student, though that's not 100%. And so the lab is for those instances when the teacher doesn't have technology in the room, especially not one-to-one. So they might have to go to a lab type situation. The last type of rotation is for individual work. And so the teacher would be able to have a student go through some rotations even online where they could work through some things that would be specific to them. The next model is the flipped model. And this one is where the instruction is done outside of the physical space. So, for example, the teacher might put a video online for the student to see, and then they come together for the work in the physical space. So, a math teacher might put a video online about how to do a certain problem. Then, when the students come to class, they will work through the problem together as a class and then individually with the teacher being able to offer that individual help. The next one is the enriched virtual model. And this instruction is done face to face and the independent work is done online. So during that instruction time, the teacher is able to work through the material together and then they put that independent work online. And this could be for a one class or it could be for a whole unit. So the teacher can do that face to face instruction and then they can put the independent work online that could be for a whole week. This is particularly advantageous if you have a substitute that's coming in. The teacher can do that instruction and then they can leave that independent work for the substitute teacher to help the students get through. And that works very well for many situations. So, what does this actually mean for curriculum design? The really cool thing is the possibilities are endless. For curriculum design, you can really tailor it to a class by offering so many different choices. So, if there's a teacher who is teaching gifted and talented students, they can use some enrichment activities that you could put together. If you're teaching students that have learning disabilities, then you can work on some curriculum that, excuse me, takes that into account and can differentiate in a way that can make it individual without the teacher having to do all of that work on site. And it works out really well for everyone because you're really getting to individualize that curriculum. So, I want to give an example of exactly what you would do if you were going to do a rotation for blended learning. So the example here is for a fifth grade teacher, and this teacher is teaching about recycling and specifically about the goal is for the students to develop a proposal to bring a recycling center and refinery to their town. So station one would start with small group teacher led, meaning that the teacher would walk through some instruction, talk about community programs and resources, as well as considering the financial aspect. So in that station, the teacher is able to talk about math and science in that first group. The second station is collaboration. This is one where the students would be in groups, they would brainstorm ideas, and then they would present those ideas to the class and then talk about what might work best. Station three is where they would do some research with technology, so they could research different resource management systems, what that looks like, focusing on challenges and successes, so they can bring that into their project. This could be done in a group or it can be done independently, depending on the needs of the class. And then finally, station four is that independent learning. So the student would take all of the information that they gathered from the other three stations and put it together into that proposal where they can bring that plant in their own city. Now, all of this with blended learning really, as you can see, this teacher is teaching math, science, social studies, language arts, and putting it all together. So a really good cross-curricular instruction, which blended learning really lends itself to. And is why I'm such a big proponent. I think cross-curricular instruction is very important for students because it helps them to think of, oh, I need to put my instruction that I've learned about writing from my language arts class, I need to put that into practice in all of my classes, in all of my projects, in all of the things that I do. When I think about math, I need to be thinking about the finances. How does that work? And I can do that in my language arts class. I can do that when I'm thinking about social studies, how that all fits together, and how um, the environment affects social studies and math and all the things that I might be reading. So it all works together, and blended learning allows for that. And again, why I'm such a proponent. So takeaways from today. Blended learning is good and solid instruction. It's good for all students and it allows for learning in a physical space as well as online. And it allows for those cross-curricular projects, which are so beneficial to our students. I do want to tell you about the references I used today. So from Gordon and Akai, I talked about the different models of blended learning. Also from the blended learning universe, I got some examples from the Akai article in Edutopia. And I also looked at the complete guide to blended learning to look at those benefits. And so those were the places that I found my information. And if you want to learn more, you can look at these places. It would be really helpful for me to find out what you learned today. So we're going to follow that 3-2-1 exit strategy. So if you will click on the evaluation link, it will take you to a Google form where you can write that down. So write down 3 things that you learned today. 2, write down 2 things that you really liked about the presentation and or the information. And then 1, what is one thing that you still want to learn about? One question you might have. This is a great strategy to use in class. It also works really well for professional development, which we have here today. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope you learned something a little bit about blended learning.